Hello and welcome back to the Elsie version. Today we are in chapter 8 in Hebrews. Chapter 7 was all about the order of Melchizedek and the high priest, how Jesus is the better high priest. We are going to start in verse 26 of chapter 7 and then we're going to go right into chapter 8, okay? So, verse 26 says, "For it was indeed fitting that we should have such a high priest, holy, innocent, unstained, separated from sinners, and exalted above the heavens. He has no need, like those high priests, to offer sacrifices daily, first for his own sins, and then for those of the people, since he did this once for all when he offered up himself. For the law appoints men in their weakness as high priests, but the word of the oath, which came later than the law, appoints a son who had been made perfect forever." Now, the point is, verse 1, the point in what we are saying is this: we have such a high priest, one who is seated at the right hand of the throne of the majesty in heaven, God, a minister in the holy places, in the true tent that the Lord set up, not man. For every high priest is appointed to offer gifts and sacrifices. Thus it is necessary for this priest also to have something to offer. Now, if he were on earth, he would not be a priest at all, since there are priests who offer gifts according to the law. They serve a copy and a shadow of heavenly things. For when Moses was about to erect the tent, he was instructed by God, saying, "See that you make everything according to the pattern that was shown you on the mountain." So, back then, the tabernacle, the synagogue, like all of that stuff was based off of heaven. Like, literally, God was giving directions of like what heaven looked like, and Moses was to make a copy of that. That's why it says a copy and a shadow of heavenly things. Moses is only able to do the copy and the shadow of heavenly things, not the whole actual. Like, we're only seeing a glimpse, is basically what he's saying. Okay. So, verse 6, "But as it is, Christ has obtained a ministry that is as much more excellent than the old as the covenant he mediates is better, since it is enacted on better promises. For if the first covenant had been faultless, there would have been no occasion to look for a second. For he finds fault with them when he says, 'Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will establish a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not like the covenant that I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. For they did not continue in my covenant, and so I showed no concern for them, declares the Lord.'" Ooh. Dang. "They did not continue in my covenant, so I showed no concern for them." Okay. Verse 10. "For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, declares the Lord, I will put my law into their minds and write them on their hearts. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall not teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, 'Know the Lord.' For they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest. For I will be merciful toward their iniquities and remember their sins no more." In speaking of a new covenant, he makes the first one obsolete, and what is becoming obsolete and growing old is ready to vanish away. Dang. So this is from Jeremiah. Dang. That's crazy. So you can see he says he's going to put the law in their minds and write them on their hearts. So, like, the Holy Spirit convicts you, right? In your mind, in your heart. Like, there is a constant reminder of what you're called to do, what you're called to be like. And you won't need to say, "Know the Lord" to your brother. You will already know them. That is so beautiful. I really like this end part where it says, "In speaking of a new covenant, he makes the first one obsolete. And what is becoming obsolete and growing old is ready to vanish away." That is so chef's kiss. All right. So we are walking in a new covenant, a covenant that is based on grace and mercy from God. not a covenant based on laws and doing the right thing, right? It's not based on sacrifices. There's been a sacrifice. It's done. It's finished. So my question for you today, are you living in the new covenant, or are you stuck in legalism and performance and thinking like you're in the old covenant? But God, if you have accepted Jesus into your heart and you have the Holy Spirit, he is making you a new creation. You are a new creation. You're no longer a sinner. So remember to tell yourself the gospel daily. Remember to tell yourself grace and mercy, because your identity is no longer sinner. It's new creation. You are a child of God. So that's Hebrews 8. Tomorrow we will jump into Hebrews 9. Thank you so much for following along, and I'll see you tomorrow.